parts of the world who is joining us today. And it is AI Hokusai Art App Research Project and our public program. And today we have very, very interesting webinar and very interesting and special guest. And while everybody are just connecting, I'm here to share some updates from our laboratory. We continue research, we continue producing and developing projects that will be presented during the big virtual exhibition that we are opening in January. And we continue with our public program. And today we have a new media artist and researcher, Weidi Zhang, and she will share the first-hand experience with interactive AI art projects and experimental visualization techniques. And the topic of today's webinar, it is Speculative Assemblage, Generative Art and Experimental Visualization. It sounds very intriguing. And I think that today it's a good chance for us to understand deeper the principles of generative art and artificial intelligence, to explore the potential of what is called speculative assemblage and artistic practice, and to learn more about practical techniques for creating interactive AI art projects. Welcome to join us with your questions, with your comments. You can do it on the platform that you choose to watch us: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you find comfortable. And Weidi is a new media artist and researcher. She is an assistant professor at Arizona State University Media and Immersive Experience Center. Her work explores speculative assemblage in the intersection of immersive media, data visualization, and AI art. Her works have been showcased in prestigious awards and international exhibitions: SIGGRAPH, Ars Electronica, Lumen Prize, and so on and so far. And we will learn about her work today. And today with us, our residence artists. Today we have Denis Semyonov. We have Saris, digital and media and data artist. We have Roxana Vasquez and Carlos Wizgorod, video art, digital art, media art. And who else we have here today? Let me see. We are all here, all the team. So the timing for today will be more or less, first we will learn more about Weidi's work and her challenges, the challenges that she is facing during her artistic practice, and how she is solving all these tasks, because her interactive installations are really very, very interesting. And then we will have a chance to ask questions and discuss those topics that will be presented by Weidi and by our residents. So welcome. Your questions are welcome. And now I give the stage to Weidi. Hello. Very happy to have you here, and thank you for joining us today. Let's switch on the microphone. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I'm so excited to share with you guys some of my previous projects. And yeah. Can I just go ahead and probably share my screen? Okay. Oh, I think I need to share the slide first. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Just double check. Okay.
Yes, we have a very beautiful installation.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. So hello everyone. Today my presentation's topic is generative art and experimental vis. Okay, so here is the reel of my projects and my research at the intersection of interactive AI art, experimental data visualization, and immersive media. And I design a lot of art experience in collaboration with AI and audiences to make the immersive experience ever evolving. And I've done a lot of like data visualization. What you are seeing now is the digital fabrication based on the data. And I did a lot of interactive AI art installations. And that's Zhang's poetry. And my main tool was Touch Designer. So I use this visual programming language for most of my works. And for some of my VR project, I use Unity as my main tool. Okay, so it does have a sound, but for today's like technical difficulties for this video, I just showing the images. Okay.
But images are very impressive, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna skip this slide. And my background, I was born and raised in China, a historical city called Suzhou, which is renowned for its unique architectural style of Chinese gardens. And there is a garden design strategy called borrow scenery, which is to use the frames as a door or as a window to incorporate the distant views of the mountains, the cloud, and also the garden views of the bamboos, the visitors into one composition. So that really influenced my way of observing my surroundings. I always like to frame my surroundings as a multi-layered composition. And I want to share one of my very early practices. So when I was a photography student, when I pursued my undergraduate degree, BFA degree at University of Washington in Seattle, photo media program. So this is one of my very early practice. For this piece, it's actually an assignment. So I was asked to create a data visualization of my personal portrait. And for this piece, I just cut my hair and let it drop on the ground. And then I drew dots on all the crossover points to create and photograph it to create a composition that represent the data I lost. And many years later, I realized that it's actually one of my first attempts to incorporate automation with artistic originality, like artistic decisions, to transform image making process into a composited reality. And since then, this formula has been one of the main formula for all of my artistic practice. And when I study art history, and I realized that it's actually called assemblage. And it's to cover all forms of composite art and modes of juxtaposition. And it was defined by William Sess, who is the curator of the first assemblage art show in MoMA in 1961. And yeah, it has been popularized in 20th century. And assemblage is a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary creative practice. And it has been utilized in multiple disciplines, such as in pictorial fields, we have image collage, photo montage. In the sculpture fields, we have the sculpture built with the ready-mades. And in the literature fields, we have the cut-up technique. For example, William Burrell, who used the cut-up techniques to cut out the portions of the pages and let the other pages pop up on the first page to make the kind of random non-linear combination of the narrative. And in the music fields, we have music concrete. Stockhausen, Luc Ferrari, they use the field recordings of the sound objects to create nonlinear composition. And in the architecture fields, we have Masbau, Kurt Schroeder, who cut out the portions of the architectures and move to the other parts. And he used 10 years to make this composition spatial assemblage, ever evolving. And in the theater fields, we have theater of totality. Moholy-Nagy, who defined the immersive theater, and a lot of theater artists break the fourth wall between the audiences, performers, and audiences to make the theater engaging and immersive. Okay, so all of those creative practices are derived from assemblage theory, and it was defined by Deleuze and Guattari in the book A Thousand Platters, and then later developed by a list of sociologists and philosophers, such as Manuel de Landa, who wrote this book, A New Philosophy of Society. And they think assemblage theory frames the social complexity in the emphasis of fluidity, exchangeability, and multiple functions through entities that create their connectivities. So back to my formula for my artistic practices. And today, machine adds another layer of automation for the image making process. And all of my practices derive from this fundamental question of what is an image. So a digital image is actually an array of pixels with varying intensity levels. And my practices was trying to ask the question of to which extent do the advent of operative images and machine vision and increasing number of images become networked, and it really changed the ontology of the images, such as the pictures posted in the digital landscape are constantly being examined and categorized by AI hidden behind the software interface for commodified attention with predictions and personalized recommendation algorithms, and also countless surveillance cameras are hidden in the public space. And our life moments has been transformed into information that is constantly evaluated by machines. So image making process nowadays are programmable, are networked, operative, and related to system making. So so adding another layer of automation to my works. So I was still trying to combine the machine's decision and artistic decision and artistic originality to transform the image making process into a composited reality. And also the creative power of suggestive image extends to the immersive medium. And immersive experience reveals itself as the heir to the illusionism as manifested in its pragmatic representative from Quesadi Mistali in Pompeii to the panorama to VR. And it really transcends a psychic and physical boundaries that leads to the symbiosis of onlooker and images. And I think so for the artists and designers, nowadays we can use a lot of tools and a lot of algorithms from computational design fields, such as the machine learning algorithms, the information design strategies, interactive media, immersive media, and we can question what is authorship. Is it machine or it's human, or it's human-machine hybrid? And how can we use algorithms to combine the layers and parts to create assemblage art? And what is data-driven narrations? What is data-driven forms, materials? And how can we utilize uncertainty of machine learning algorithms to create a new kind of transcend choice operation? So with all of those critical questions, research questions in mind, I'm trying to redefine the transformation from image making process to an art experience, and I call it a speculative assemblage in my PhD dissertation. So and I also want to, lastly, before I introduce my projects, I also want to share one quote that really inspired my practice. So it's called, it said, everything flows and nothing abides, and everything gives away and nothing stays fixed. You can never step twice into the same river. So I think an art experience should be never looped, and it should be ever evolving. And each audience will have their unique experience. And every time they experience it should be have some different kind of moment for their from their interactions. And I think change touches each creature and each community and system uniquely. Assemblage should be adaptive and evolving over time to accommodate flow and change. Yeah, so that's one of the codes. So that's the reason most of my practice is a real-time configuration, a real-time assemblage. Okay, so today I'm going to introduce 3 projects. And the first project I created from 2019 to 2020. So it has been 5 years. And it's called Zhang's Poetry. And it's in collaboration with one of my previous PhD colleague, Dong Haoren, who is currently a AI, I think it's in R&D department at Apple. So we collaborated on this project when I was a PhD candidate from University of California, Santa Barbara. Okay. Okay, so it does have an audio component, but I'll probably play the video after I introduce the concept of this piece. So Zhang's poetry starts with a very conceptual questions. From my observation, humans and machines are in constant conversation. And humans are always initiate this conversation by use the programming language that will be converted into binary digits that machine can understand. So I wonder, like, what if machine can initiate this conversation and start talking with us actively? How will this recontextualize our conversation? So that's my design question. If AI can imitate human beings to create a symbolic system, a language system to communicate based on their understanding of the universe and begin to interact with us actively, how will this redefine the coexistence between humans and machines? My inspiration comes from Chinese folklore of a legendary historian. His name is Zhang, and he has been considered as the person who invented Chinese characters. And I chose Chinese characters as my inspirations, not just because I really appreciate the beauty of those characters, but it's also because it is one of the world's oldest local graphic system. So it means all of those Chinese characters was built upon the appearance of everything on the earth. I want to share this interesting story with you guys. So one day, Zhang was struggling creating Chinese characters until he saw a phoenix drop an object with a special hoof print that he could not recognize. And the hunter passed by and told him that it was a hoof print of a pixiu, a Chinese mythical hybrid creature whose hoof print is unique. And Zhang suddenly realized that it would be a perfect prototype for a written system if he could create symbols that set apart everything on the earth. So my inspiration is from those early Chinese characters. You can tell it really looks like the real world objects. So for example, the first one is chicken, the second one is sun, the third one is moon. So I kind of got inspiration from this early language system, this local graphic system. And so that's the reason I trained an AI to learn the principles and constructions of over 9,000 Chinese characters. And after learning, the system is able to convert the images into a cluster of new symbols. So noticeable that those are completely new symbols, but it do look like Chinese characters because it is constructed by Chinese strokes. But they are completely pseudo-Chinese characters, so they're completely new symbols. Even Chinese people cannot read it. So I artistically imagine the new language based on this early language prototype. So, those early language systems. So I'm supposing if AI can observe surroundings just like Zhang, the historian did 1,000 years ago, and transforming everything on the earth, the real world objects into a cluster of new symbols in real time, and to communicate with us, how will this recontextualize our coexistence? So that's my initial motivation. And this is very early prototype I did 5 years ago. Okay, so yeah, so here is our system map. In the left side is in the installation, that's a bird view of the installation. And I set a camera in the space and to observe the surrounding environments and the real-time audience's feedback and capturing them as the live streaming data and send it to my AI systems. And for my AI systems, I have two components. The first one is a trained neural network to convert live streaming video into a cluster of new symbols. And the second part is we use DanceCap, a pre-trained model for dance image captioning, and to use the descriptive sentences to describe the salient regions of the live streaming video. So basically, we have two parts. And the second part is really important because it adds another layer, a semantic meaning to the first layer. So if I only have those pseudo Chinese characters, those new symbols, then this experience would be completely a pure visual celebration of machine's creation. But if I add the second layer, to add the descriptive sentences to describe this the live streaming video, then it will be a semantic experience. It will be a communication process and a language system. So that's the importance of the second part. Okay, so in the installation, we have a camera set in the center of the space to observing the surrounding environments, capturing the live streaming video, and then sending out the live streaming video to the AI system, and it will generate two videos, two visualizations, and present it on two parallel screens. And one is the first visualization of those new symbols, and the second visualization is the descriptive sentences describe the surrounding environments. Yeah, so it comes with a sound, but if you guys interested in this work, you guys can visit my website, Soundjuice Poetry, and you can hear the sound components. Okay, so for the first part, the first visualization, I got inspiration from early 20th century, both Western abstract expressionism paintings and Eastern inkwash paintings. Specifically got inspiration from William de Kooning, who is one of my favorite abstract expressionists. And he painted his black and white series by organizing the complex array of forms and shapes within a spatial structure using expressive brushstroke to combine the figuration with abstraction. And I also got inspiration from Shinoda Tako's experience and her early practices in inkwash paintings. And it's very interesting. In 20th century, Shinoda Tako, she visited William de Kooning in New York, and they had a really compelling, impressive conversation. And after she got back from New York to Tokyo, she started to combine the Eastern calligraphy with Western abstract expressionism practices to create those poetic composition. And I think it's really interesting. And with those composition with varying ink intensities, brush movements, ink flow to control those tonalities and shadings and capture the spirit of the subject. So I really want to combine the aesthetic both from the Eastern and the Western to create my visualizations. So instead of presenting the output from machine learning, the AI models directly, I further process those textures. So firstly, I use feedback system to make it more like a gesture of writing. And I also do some like scale transformations to process those symbols. And then I write the OpenGL shading language to relocate the pixels from the first input, which is the live streaming video, to the second input texture, which is the new symbols generated by machines. And to get my final result of the first visualization. So basically my visual goal is to use the pixels of live streaming video to write those new symbols generated by AI models. Okay. And also the movement is driven by the RGBA data of the live streaming video. So you can see the live streaming video is really like a ink tank, and it's in reaction to the audiences, and it's right new symbols in real time. And for the second visualization, that's the descriptive sentences generated by DenseCap model. And I'm trying to create a visual poetry in real time. So I got inspiration from concrete poetry in 20th century, which arranged the linguistic elements topographically in the space to convey meanings. And I used DenseCap model to determine the arrangements of sentences in multiple regions of the visualizations. And I also did some included some fragments of the live streaming video just to make it like a visual poetry, and it's evolving in real time. And yeah, so in the exhibition space, the audiences can be captured by this camera and then generate two visualizations. And this work has been presented in many different formats. For example, it can be viewed in VR, and you can see a lot of those visualization, those particle movements of those new symbols in the 3D space in VR, or it can be presented as a interactive AR installations. And this work was created and developed during the pandemic. So unfortunately, a lot of interactive installation got canceled. So that's the reason I developed a special edition of this work. I released a call for entry online, and then we are very lucky to collect the daily footages from strangers over 12 different countries. And then we kind of collect those daily footages from pandemic and then fed into my AI system to generate those two visualization as a poetry book, and then render it out as an animation. So instead of using the live streaming of audiences, this time I use daily footages from people from multiple countries and diverse culture background. So I think it's a very interesting addition to me, is that so it's no longer generated in real time, although it's a pre-rendered animation, but I think it's presented as unfolding scroll of evolving Eastern calligraphy, or it can be interpreted as a open poetry book with changing thoughts generated by both humans and machines. Okay, so so Tongji's poetry is not just a conceptual response to the tension and fragility of coexistence of humans and machines, but also artistic imagination and expression of a future language that reflects on the ancient truth. And I think that's a way to evoke enchantment in this artificial intelligence era. Okay, so here is another project I did. That's compared to Tongji's poetry, that's kind of a most recent one. It was created from 2022, the year we have the text-to-image model released. And also that's the year I witnessed my grandmother's memory regression due to her dementia. So her cherished story dissolved into fragmented words. And that's my motivation to create this project. It comes from a very personal and sad story. And I started to imagine, like, how can we transform the fragmented language into a visual story just motivated by my grandmother's dementia. because she can only describe her personal stories, use very fragmented words. So yeah, I want to create a visual story, a real-time visual story, visual memory, synthetic memory that comes from the fragmented words. And it's very exciting. In 2022, we have this emergence of text-to-image AI system released, and I think it offers a new perspective as it really celebrates the power of language to imagine and reassemble fragmented memories, and possibly it can weave what time and disease have stolen. So that's my initial motivation for this project. And then I started my collaboration with one of my previous colleague and also my dear friend, Roger Luo. We did some other collaborations as well. So this time we create recollection from 2022 and released in 2023. And it's an interactive AI art installation that assembles synthetic collective visual memories based on language input, and it blurs the boundaries between remembrance and imagination through AI system design and interactive experimental visualization. So I want to share a video first with you guys, and maybe I can play this. Can we play this first video?
This paper describes the conceptual background, AI system design, and visualization strategies for an interactive AI art experience called Recollection. Recollection synthesizes visual memories.
Oh, sorry, it's not this one. It's actually this one. Can we? Yeah.
I took a cross-country road trip with my friend.
Oh. Sorry. Why it stopped? I think this have 2 minutes, this video.
Birth to my son was the best thing I ever did.
I took a cross-country road trip with my friend.
Why this doesn't allow me to?
도시락을 먹.
I don't know what happened with this platform.
Cross-country road trip with my friend.
초등학교 때 나무 아래에서 친구들과 도시락을 먹었다.
Cuando mi mamá y hermanas viajes en
jugar fútbol en el parque.
所有东西都在摇晃，所有东西都在掉下来，地板裂开。
I remember going to Disney World for a Christmas party and seeing fake snow fall from the sky.
Okay, so I'm gonna get back to my PowerPoint. Second. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so if you want to see the full version of this video, you can see from my social media and also my website. Okay, so yeah, this project starts from the design questions of connections between language, imagination, alternative narrative, and visual memory. And language and memory are closely linked, so both essential in shaping our communication and understanding. However, dementia disrupts this intricate relationship and leading to the varied impacts on cognitive functions and language abilities, and often regarded as the key to the selfhood in the Western thoughts. And I found my practices is closely related to the medical humanity fields, and there's a lot of therapy. The researchers in medical humanity fields are investigate that instead of to repair or restore our personal memories, they're more interested in the idea of seeing memory as an evolving selfhood and to reimagine memories. And I think it's an interesting concept to see the memory as an inter-embodied self, as a montage, and to embrace the imagination with the remembrance as the synthetic memory creation process. And here is the system map, system diagram of recollection. So again, on the left side, it's a top view of this installation, and we invite the participant to speak one sentence to the system, and then our system do the speak recognition to transform the voice input into text, and then we use GPT-4 model to transform the text into complete narrative. And then we do the text-to-image model to generate images. And we fine-tuning the model and to make the images, generative images, more related to love and loss. And then we use Touch Designer to receive the images and to further process those images as the real-time animation and present it on the LED display in the space. Okay, so in our installation, we chose not to showcase the direct visual output generated by AI system. Instead, I drew inspiration from the fine art practices, such as monotype, a printmaking technique tracing its origins to 1640s, and also slit scan photography, known for capturing the sequential slices of subject over time. And we aim to present recollection by combining generative methodologies with fine art practices to investigate the new aesthetic that explore the fleeting visual imagery, undergoing dissolutions, tilting, printing, and reprinting over time. So basically, the visualization is the representation of fading memories. And I use pixel shifting, displacement, feedback system, optical flow to reconstruct the images generated by AI models to make it a real-time visualizations of memory. Okay, it has been showcased in many different exhibitions in many different countries. And one of the first show, it was at SIGGRAPH last year, 2023 in Los Angeles. And for this format, I got inspiration from intimate, nostalgic, vintage aesthetic of Polaroid photographs. So the visualization reassemble an unfolding photo book and representing the generated visuals within the frames alongside the descriptive sentences. However, I observed that there's a disconnection between the narrative and the visuals in this edition. So here comes to my second edition. So instead of like separate the descriptive sentences with the visualization, I kind of incorporate the text as the graphical components of the whole visualization. And also observe, it's interesting to observe people like looking to reflection waters. So they often see themselves like gazing at the river. So I saw the people gazing at the river waters reflections, and they often see themselves portrayed in the midst of ripples and creating those kind of moving abstract reflections effects for this edition, and really adopted the circular shape. And I mostly see this edition as people like see their memories as part of their reflective moments, and seeing themselves as seeing their memories was recreated, reflected, and reimagined. Okay, so this was shown at in Vancouver and also in Arizona, and I want to highlight our system has this ability to recognize 98 different languages, and it really facilitates multilingual input and highlighting this inclusivity of our art experience. And during one of our exhibition, we welcome over 1,000 international visitors from diverse cultural backgrounds, including Japan, Iran, Korea, France, Germany, US, and many other nations. And we always encourage them to speak the language they feel most close to their heart. And I think this approach aims to create this intimate memory experience for the storytelling purpose. And it's really heartwarming to witness the participants' excitement in sharing their memory in their native language, and also their passion to see their memories synthesized. And some of the participants were so moved, and they become teary-eyed upon seeing the generative visuals. Yeah, and also they shared that the visuals kind of resonated with the events from their past, and also capturing some imaginative details. And in the most current version, we have an immersive version. So had the projections on the curve screen mapped with 3 projectors. And it's currently on show in Budapest, Cinema Mystica Immersive Museum. So it does have some components, and due to this technical difficulties in sharing the video with some components. So yeah, if you're interested in like the full version of this video, you can visit my website. Okay, so I have presented this artwork at many different conferences, and also write a paper, research paper, and published at SIGGRAPH this year. And one of my co-authors from medical humanity fields, and she is currently in postdoc with in University of Sheffield in UK, and she also present our art project in medical humanity fields, such as in a multi-species world. The conference is called Artificial Intelligence in a Multi-Species World in Europe. And I feel it's really excited to share this artistic project with researchers from other fields, and to hear their feedback and their suggestions on this project. Yeah, so recollection visualize the collective memories, connects language with generative visual in a poetic way, and it tries to provide a critical future ideation for the culture reproduction. Okay, so lastly, I want to share an audio-visual project I did 4 years ago, 3 years ago, sorry, and it's called Astro, and it's a full dome audiovisual performance, and it's also 10-based work, so it's 8 minutes and 15 seconds. And I want to credit my musician. Her name is Weidi, and she's currently pursuing her PhD in composition at Harvard University, composition music department. So I got an invitation from a curator from Russia in 2021 and to create an audiovisual performance for a celebration event of the 60 years of the anniversaries of manned flight into the space. So I want to create audiovisual performance that center around the question of why we explore space in the context of known and unknown, as well as folding and unfolding. Okay, so I got inspiration from a letter wrote by a NASA director, and he explained the question of why we explore space to Zambia-based non. Her name is Sister Measure Shukanda. And the NASA director attached the image of a view of our Earth as seen from Apollo 8 when it orbited the moon at Christmas in 1968. And he said, although our space program seems to lead us away from our Earth and out towards the moon, the sun, the planet, the stars, and I believe that none of these celestial objects will find as much attention and studied by space scientists as our Earth. It will become a better Earth, not only because of all the new technological and scientific knowledge, which will apply for the betterment of our life, but also because we are developing a far deeper appreciation of our Earth, of man, and of life. So I got inspiration from his quote in this inspiring letter, and also got inspiration from this angle, these images, look at our Earth. So it's really like, normally we cannot view our Earth from this angle, right? So from the outer space, our Earth is a really, for me, it's a really lonely subject floating in this unlimited voidness, and it's quite poetic. And normally, in the planetarium show, we are always like, we human beings always lying on the ground looking into this projection of outer space. I think, what if we think the other way around? So suppose we are aliens and we are lying on the ground looking into the projection of Earth, just like this perspective. How will this inspire and how will this probably give an answer to the question of why we explore space? So that's my motivation and design of this audiovisual performance. And in Astro, the Earth, the only astronomical object known to the Harbor Life, is unfolded through the lens of intelligent beings in the outer space. And when the alien rotates the lens to zoom in and out, the journey of observation brings a multi-scale discoveries of ecological changes and machinic vision with an artistic imagination, from a vast forest where the flames roar into the wild creatures, to the melting iceberg revealing the hidden information, from the diagram of ancient pseudoscience astrology to the latent work of AI's generative visuals, from the data-driven landscape to the algorithmic generative visuals, from the climate change to the creatures' migration. This work is trying to pose the question of why we explore space in the context of known and unknown and folding and unfolding. and this performance ending with the creatures of migration. Yeah, I wanna share the video of this work from my website. Maybe could you please share? It's from my website, Astro. Yes, thank you. So this is a teaser. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, okay. Yeah, so I have, this is some screen recordings of my animations. Yeah, for this piece, I completely use Touch Designer to create my visuals. And some of the visuals is based on like the 3D scan of the landscape. Some of the visuals is based on AI generative visuals, and I kind of instancing the pixels of those generated visuals to create some 3D structures. And this piece has been showcased in many different planetarium, and I think next week will be in France. And yeah, so this was one of the showcase in St. Petersburg. And I also did a another version of this work, another format of projection, and it was presented as the opening show for a new museum. It's called City Light Art Museum in Shenzhen, China, 3 years ago. Okay, so it's presented as a projection of a facade of architecture. And this was also presented at Satosphere in Society for Arts and Technology in Montreal, and where I'm currently do remote art residency with this great space. Yeah, and so here comes to my last slide. I want to conclude my presentation with this slide. So I think the future is inherently unknowable. What futures might emerge? What kinds of factors might be possible from the historical nodes? And how can we create a critical future ideation that will make an impact through art and design? Centered around those questions, my practices transformed the image making process into a composited reality, composited experience through layers of processing, which combines automation with artistic decisions, as I mentioned, the main formula for all of my practice. And it encodes unstructured information to data, from data to cultural artifacts, and then to the composited reality that can be interpreted as interactive art experience. And I think if last century, the 20th century, is more about breaking things, and this century is more about making things. This quote is from one of my advisor from University of California. His name is Marcos Novak. And yeah, I think the process of making is less about making a bowl of salad, but more about cooking a soup. Yeah, to build a liquid network, to build a culture that blends human and computer meanings. And thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for having me here. And sorry for all the technical difficulties this time. So a lot of audio, it doesn't play well. So I actually have many audios in my slides. But yeah, but if you're interested in my work, please visit my website or my Instagram. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. And feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy to answer. Yeah.
Thank you, Weidi, for your beautiful presentation. It was not only visually very, very beautiful in my taste, but it was also very profound. I feel really inspired how you are like getting sources for your work from Asian culture, language systems, art history, like really doing this assemblage, also working with the memories. It is like considered that technologies, they are cold, but you're using them absolutely, making us feel this empathy, feel these emotions, feel these memories, like provoke memories in ourselves. Thank you very much. And we have question here. We will put it to the screen. Leonardo da Vinci emphasized that creating a true work of art requires a harmonious blend of feeling and intelligence. The idea reflects his belief that art is not merely about technical skill or emotional expression alone, but about the synthesis of both. What do you think on this point? How you are combining this emotional layer of your work and also technological? How is your pipeline is built? How you build your process of preparation of creation?
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question. So I actually want to share another slide. Actually, I think resonate with this question. So maybe I can share my another slide again. I didn't have time to go over this slide, but I think it's quite related. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, while you're connecting, I will just show.
Okay,
yes.
so yeah, so I actually, so this is back to this formula of my presentation. I didn't got the chance because I just show like the short version of this formula, but actually combining machine's decision and artistic decision, we call it a cognitive assemblage. And this was defined by Catherine House, and she's a professor at UCLA, and she wrote a list of articles about cognitive assemblage. And I want to quote some of her ideas from a paper. And she thinks human decisions and interpretation feedback into the technological system, sometimes decisively affecting the context in which those systems operate. And as a whole, a cognitive assemblage performs the functions identified with cognition and flexibly attending to the new situation and incorporating this knowledge into adaptive strategies and evolving through the experience to create new strategies and kinds of responses. So I really like the idea of creating a cognitive assemblage to combine artistic decisions, machine vision, machine automation to create new kinds of assemblage, but also engage the participants, to embrace the uncertainty of interactive art and also uncertainty of machine learning algorithms to create that experience is ever evolving and ever changing. So I also want to share another slide. Yeah, so 1 second, sorry. Yeah. So basically, a lot of my installation, I was trying to create a design methodology, and it's gonna like propose this interactive system for experimental visualization that through the following steps that have the customized application to evaluate and interpret the real-time streaming of the audiences, and then for the process it, so layers of computations, and also engage machine decisions in the systems, and then output the visualizations to the participant to perceive. And in real time, the participants' feedback will also fed into the system. So it kind of creates this loop between the artist, audiences, and visualization. So that's one of my design strategy methods for my work. So basically, yeah, I see the visual presentation as a programmable database, and it can be viewed as the cultural artifacts, and that is ever evolving. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Weidi. I think that if somebody of our residents have questions to Weidi, it's a really good time to ask questions. Denise, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Weidi. Thank you for the beautiful presentation. And well, your works are truly inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story. I've got a question about your style. As I see most of your projects starting from Kanji's poetry, Astro, and recollection, they are mostly black and white. Even the first work with the hair and the data, it was monochromic. And interesting how you got into this visual style. What was the inspiration behind that? Maybe black and white photography, or I don't know, traditional ink drawings.
Thank you so much for your question. So I think it's many different factors influence my aesthetic. So firstly, is from my cultural background. I got a lot of inspiration from Guanzhong Wu, and I'll put his name in the chat. Maybe in here. Maybe I can share my screen. Give me 1 second. Well, let me share my screen. How can I do it? Okay, share screen window. Okay, so am I sharing my Google Chrome?
Not yet, but if you can send this this phrase, this name to the private chat, we can show it on our social networks for the audience to see and to get to know.
Okay. Yeah, his name is Guanzhong Wu, and I'll put his name here. So he is kind of one of the most important contemporary painter from China, and his style also combined the Eastern with Western. So he, I think he visited France, and he kind of want to combine the ink wash painting with Fauvism to like recreate those Chinese gardens. And I was born in Suzhou, a historical city, a Chinese garden city, have hundreds of Chinese gardens, and all the architecture styles look like Guanzhong Wu's painting. So he actually really into Chinese gardens as well. So I really into like those abstract, expressive brushstroke, like mostly monochrome, but with some very simple highlights of the colors to create interesting composition. So that's my early inspiration when I was a kid. And I also did a lot of black and white film photography because I was coming from a photography background for my undergraduate degree. And then I shift my direction to media arts and technology from my MFA degree, and then later pursue my PhD degree in media arts and technology. But yeah, my artistic fine art practices was in photography. So I really into like the darkroom process. So a lot of my AI art is also about like, so one of my AI art is about rheograph, which is inspired by man race photography. So yeah, I really into those fine art practices. Yeah, I was trying to create art that is combining the generative art with fine art practices to create a new kind of aesthetic. Yeah, so that's my inspiration. Yeah, and also really into, for example, Manfred Moore. Yeah, Alfred. One of the pioneer, like is generative art. I put in the chat.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think black and white work, monochrome work can be more like, because we are can use less dimensions, only use black and white, less dimensions, but mostly more focus on the forms and the structures. And that's also one of my interests, to actually build those 3D virtual structures in my space. Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, hope they answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Santiago. Santiago, you also work with these beautiful schematic images. Maybe you have some questions to Weidi. Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. I've got a question about race project. Like, what do you think about, like, how does generative aesthetic influence questioning the objectivity of images created under machine surveillance of the camera?
Oh, so sorry. Well, I think I missed your first sentence. Could you repeat again?
Sure. How does generative aesthetic influence questioning the objectivity of images created under machine surveillance, like talking about a race project?
Oh, Ray?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're interested in my another project, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you so much for your question. Yeah, Ray is yeah, I'm gonna present Ray, the paper of Ray next week in Tokyo, SIGGRAPH Asia. Yeah. Yeah, I can also yeah, I'm happy to include my paper in this chat because it describes all the details of this work. Give me one second.
But if you don't want to reveal a lot, I mean, like, we can apply it for any project that you present. I'm talking about, like, the presence of the camera inside the performance.
Yeah, so for the Ray specifically, I got inspiration from the images I saw from the airport, because one day I was in Shenzhen taking the flights, and firstly I go over the face scan. I feel it's really I think it's really controversial process, because like, for all the privacy issues, I go through the face scan. I don't need to use my passport, actually, just face scan, and then I enter the airport, and then I see my baggage has also went through a scan, and I see the images of the scan from the monitor of the objects in my baggage, and I feel like it's kind of reaching interesting metaphors, because I see myself being scanned and my belongings being scanned. So this project Ray is more about objectification of human beings. So yeah, I try to relate this idea with the early photography, which is called rheograph. Rheograph is a camera-less darkroom created photograms created by Man Ray, which is who is a significant contributor to Dada and Surrealism movement. And basically, rheograph is to have the objects on top of in the darkroom and on top of a light-sensitive paper, and exposing the objects to light and to create the shadows of those objects. And it's a darkroom process. And I think it's kind of like the way, and later, so it's a camera-less photography. And I think it's kind of like later this technology has been developed, and it's related to the X-rays. And I think it's very interesting to see, to questioning what is the contemporary shadow of human beings. And under the surveillance of the cameras, are we just like the objects on top of those light sensitive papers? So that's artistic questions. And for technically, basically, I trained thousands pairs of human portraits and real graphs. So it's very my early practices in AI. So I use pix-to-pix and model. And after training, the system is able to transform the live streaming of human portraits into a really abstract objects. And I make it even more abstract using Touch Designer, and also got inspiration from light painting. So I kind of instance each particles, and to make it move from one frame to the other. That creates the animation on the screen. And also because of technical difficulties, because I trying to make a balance between technological components and also the aesthetic experiments. Because the output, if I output the AI's generative visuals in like high resolution, then it will be really low framed. So I put it like 256 by 256, so it's really like low resolution images, and then I instance each pixels. Yeah, it's also a solution to the technical difficulties. Yeah. So I was trying to make a balance. So it's always about make a balance in all those new media art. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, can I make one more?
Yes.
Sure. Because regarding like the mistake as a part of the aesthetic during the actual times, like what perspective do you have on the aesthetic evolution that we are undergoing, combining AI with real time, like regarding that kind of technical difficulties that we need to solve because we can't run like AI in 60 frames. So taking that into account, what do you think about the role of the error or mistake in during the evolution of the aesthetic?
I actually really embrace the error, and I think we can see the mistakes and error as a new kind of glitchy, right? So I into glitch art. So I think and also embrace the chance and choice operation, as I mentioned, because the 20th century, a lot of experiments are really embrace those automation. Also from my early practices, I come here to let it drop on the ground and to create this kind of random composition. I like indeterminacy. I really enjoy it. So I'm quite positive about error and chance and choice operations. But I think we can also work around it. For example, for my Zhang's poetry, I have the dense cap to create descriptive sentences to describe the salient region of the images, right? So I also include some misunderstanding, like the wrong descriptive sentences generated by AI in the poetry. So that's intentional. So for example, that computer vision system see me, and it might describe me as a woman stands in front of a camera. And it also output a like less confident sentence as a cloud in the blue sky. So I found it's really interesting to include both. So for my Zhang's poetry, I have a cloud in the blue sky under a woman in the in front of the camera, because I think a lot of times the mistakes can create metaphors, and I think metaphors is also very important for create poetry. So I like creating errors. I think it's really interesting. And for the aesthetic, I think a lot of times we can kind of utilize this moment and to play with it and to make it really interesting. Like for example, like a glitchy moment, or if it's low frame, can we take advantage of this low frame moment? Or if it's low resolution images, can we input some artistic voice, artistic decisions to, for example, my ray, I further process it, right? So I think it's always a chance for us as artists and designers to input some like creative efforts and collaborate with machines in many different ways. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Weidi. The question from Roxana Vasquez, also one of our residents. Roxana?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, hello. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was beautiful. And yeah, my question is, how long did it take to develop a project like kanji poetry, for example? And also, I was thinking if do you usually start your projects independently of where they will be exhibited, or do you first study like the available environment and then you create the work like something more like site specific?
Thank you so much for your question. So firstly, for Zhang's poetry, it takes me 2 year, between 1 year and 2 years. But I didn't like just focus on this project. I have many other projects on and off. So, and it's also collaborative efforts. I want to credit my collaborator. He's amazing. So basically, when I created Zhang's poetry, I was a PhD candidate. So it's one of my main research projects. So I put a lot of efforts in that project. And especially at that time, 5 years ago, I think AI is not quite accessible like today, because we don't have like runway and everything. So yeah, it's different. So we definitely run through a lot of technical difficulties, and we tuning the model for it takes a long time. Yeah, but I really enjoy it. So all of my practices, I started with conceptual questions because I was from the fine art background. So I really I also from design background. So I was a visual designer. I also work in industry. So I was trying to create my art is at the intersection of contemporary art and contemporary design fields. And I found that kind of practices is actually in the speculative design categories. Okay, so it's more about create speculation. So I always started with what if questions to imagine a future scenario, and then to create an alternative reality that can possibly inspire the solutions for the question might exist in the future. So speculative design is kind of like design for the future. So it was defined by, I think, what is the name? Sorry, I forgot. Let me check what is. I want to credit this author. Anthony Dom and Fiona Raby, and they write the book called Speculative Everything. So yeah, so this book is about provides a pluralism of ideology and values, and provide a non-hierarchical culture space that use design to open up new possibilities and define future hypotheses, and provide alternative reality and construct the scenarios starting with what if questions. And this book, they are both professors in UK, I think. Yeah, Royal College of Art, I think. Or Golden Smith, I forgot, sorry. But yeah, this book is quite inspiring. And so that inspired me to always raise the critical and philosophical questions of our time, and then started from there and to find both the visual solutions and technological solutions for this idea. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And also for the recommendation of the book. I will search for it for sure.
Yeah, speculative.
Yeah, for our audience, we already shared the link to our LinkedIn, and also we'll share it to our other social networks, so you can read and really get inspired as Weidi did. Do we have any other questions, guys? Because I think that we learned a lot today from Weidi, our expert.
Thank you so much.
AI Hokusai Object Research Project. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm as a producer now making notes like system maps and system diagrams we should include to the descriptions of our final projects, guys, to see all the schematic work of different elements of the project for the audience to see how it is built. And yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? We have here a beautiful comment from your fan. Thank you for a great presentation. I'm happy I could get to know you and your artworks. Your ideas seem very interesting, and I hope I'll be able to see your works live as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So we have here comments like this. Okay. I have a question about your, like every star. What are your future plans? What are the topics that you want to explore upcoming 3 years, for example? Because the work of on every project lasts like 1 year, 2 years. I think that you already have plans for several years ahead. So maybe you can.
Oh yeah, thank you for your question, Anna. So I think most of my practices can be divided into two tracks. So one track is really focused on the research, mostly interactive AI system design for artistic purpose, and another track is I really into audiovisual. So I collaborate with a lot of musicians, and I was working on some like operas and audiovisual performance, experimental stuff. Yeah, I really into audiovisual, and I also teach class of audiovisual, and we just have our student final showcase 2 days ago at Arizona State University. Super proud of my students. I'm gonna post something of my students' work. Yeah, so basically I teach touch designer to create some audio reactive visuals and really into that performance. So basically I have two tracks, and for my research, I currently interested in create a interactive system for a virtual settlement of human beings. So I got inspiration from there's a demolished city in Hong Kong. It's called Kowloon Walled City. I will put it here, Kowloon Walled City. So it's very interesting because it's a self-generated city. It's ungoverned, and it was established like I think in the last century. And because at that time, like both Chinese government and also the Hong Kong government doesn't like really taking care of this place. And I think it's kind of like both dystopia and utopia because there's a lot of dark scenes of this city, but they also have the structure is self-generated because the inhabitant is designing their home. Just there's no like policies and politics, and it's very interesting. So we can see it's also considered as the densest place in the world. So it's interesting also at that time a lot of Japanese researchers visit this city and to study how they arrange the city for different functions and what is where like the structures is kind of like related to the urban design and word building. So I'm really interested in how can we incorporate AI to study this self-generated utopia city or dystopia city, both utopia and dystopia city, and learning the structures, learning the functions, and then to create one kind of rules, one kind of policies that might inspire the virtual segment of human beings in the virtual world. And then we can interact with the city and to build our virtual segment and to build a kind of self-generated organism that in the virtual world. So that's one of my current projects, and it's almost. I think it's almost 80% done. So we are still like fix some technical problems. But yeah, so that's one of my projects, and I also have another project called Wayfair. So Wayfair, it's an audiovisual performance, and it has been performed in some places already. But I'm currently developed it into a dome piece in collaboration with Setosphere at Society for Arts and Technology. I'm doing the hybrid art residency with them. So and that piece is about using AI to recreating the Asian beast imagined by the forebears 1,000 years ago in China. So they created a book called The Classics of Mountains and Seas. So I'll put it in the chat. So basically, I think the monsters is really interesting, created by those forebears, because it kind of like a visual representations of curiosity of unknown, and they kind of collaging, for example, one of the legs from animals with human heads and something like that. Sometimes it's a little bit creepy, but it's really like when we deal with unknown, we are kind of like collaging the artifacts we already know, and then to create that kind of imageries, right? So I think those monsters is really like, for me, it's really like the metaphors of AI currently, because it both have benevolence and malevolence, right? They have two sides, and I think AI is like a new dualism. So I want to embrace, like, to create a avatar for the AI in Wayfair. So I train an AI system to learn all of those beasts created by our forebears, and then generate new beasts, and then recreating those beasts as audio-visual journey, and then I have a storyline for it. So yeah, that's one of my practices. And yeah, next year I will have Wayfair performed in Satosphere and some other places. Yeah.
Wow. It's very impressive. We wish you a lot of energy, a lot of not a lot of good people around you to implement all the ideas that you have. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Weidi, for being with us, for sharing your experience. We absolutely like the way you act, you work, you think. It is very profound. It is very interesting, and you gave us a lot of food for thinking, for a lot of good advices for working on the projects that we are developing now. And we have comments here that interesting, inspiring. Thank you very much, Weidi. And I'm going to do my T-shirt with letters like "Embrace an Error." It will be my slogan for the upcoming year. And yes, thank you very much. And let's.
I also want to thanks all of you guys to visit my my presentation. I feel really humble and honored to be here. And I also follow you guys Instagram, and I think all of your artwork is quite inspiring, and I think it's also a mutual learning process. It's really great to meet you guys virtually, and hopefully one day we can meet in person, maybe like see each other in the exhibitions. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Weidi.
And see you all next week with new great topic, with new interesting speakers, and continue to follow the development of the project AI Hokusai, our tech research project, and the work and the processes of our residency. That is absolutely exciting what we are going through now with guys. Super. Thank you very much, and see you next week.